This Daf Yerushalmi Shekalim, the article Oz edition of Daf Mem Amud Aleph, and we are at the words Ola Ayo, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines down, and that in the Vilna Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi is on Chol Gimel Amud Aleph. Seems middle of the page about, based on where it is in the article, and in the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi, it is on Daf Tesvav Amud Aleph. It is the third line down. Olai Lama Nemar. Now, in order to understand this Gemara, so we should point out that in the Parshas Nesachim, which is Bamidbar Tesvav, so it says in the Psukim Dalid through the Yud, the details of the Nesachim. Hashem min chasolas Yisrael b'Revius Hayin Shaman Yain Nesach Revius Hayin Tase Alo Lazevel Chakeves Echad. That's for Keves. Ola Ayil. That's for now. Go for a ram. I should say post down. I just read down and hey Vav and Zion about a ram. Ola that's min chasolas Shnei Yisrael Subla Hashem Shlishi Hayin Yain Nesach Shlishi Hayin Tarkib Reach Nichach Hashem. Then pasuk Ches and Tes and Yud are about cattle. Yeah, Chita said Bembakar Lo Zavach Flaneder Oshlamil Hashem. Bembakar Minchas Soles Plushosha Sim Bulu B'Shem Chatzin. Yanti Yavanes Chatzin Isherech Nichach Hashem. So the and the truth is, I should have really mentioned this yesterday when we did it about an ox, but better late than never. Pasuk Av says, "Kacha ye'aseh," and they're focused on Pasuk Av. Kacha ye'aseh l'shor echad ol ayil echad ol sebak vasim baisim. This pasuk is to be superfluous. We already told you what to do for a lamb, or for a ram, or for an ox. So I have to say, the reverse order of the psukim we just did. Kacha says shor echad ol ayil echad ol sebak vasim baisim. So bak vasim baisim. So yesterday we already mentioned that Shor Echad teaches us no matter what age the ox is, that whether it's young or old, it's always the same Nesachim. So now we're going on the Ayel Echad, the next part of the pasuk, right? So the Ol Ayel, right? So it says Ol Ayel in the pasuk Lama Nemar. Why does it say it? It's already, we know what Ayel brings. So the Gemara says this also is going to say that there's no nafkamina in this case. Obviously, nafkamina between the sheep in its first year of age and the ram, which is in its second year of age and beyond. But shabbatini matzah shchel bechel ben niske ben shana niske ben shnosayim. We see a differentiation between the nesachim of an animal within its first year of life, the animal within its second year of life. This is, I think, an important point to emphasize, so they've emphasized it many times in the past, is that there is no zero in Judaism. There's no zero until much later in history. So therefore, I think the Arabs came up with zero. So therefore, the year one of the life of an animal, which we would call year zero nowadays, from 0 to 1 year old, they call year one, right? So therefore, Ben Shana always means in the first year of its life, and Ben Shnosayim means in its second year of life, right? That's why when we talk about a bar mitzvah and other things, we just talk about Ben Yud Gimel Shana V'Yom Echad, because once a child becomes 12 years old, he's in his 13th year, right? So he would be, but Gimel Shana V'Yom Echad means a day afterwards, when he when actually has become what we call 13 years old, which is when he's actually in his 14th year. So that's what. So that's to say here. I might say that there's ben niske ben shon niske ben shnasayim, lekach nachlo ben niske shtaim niske shalosh. So maybe we'll draw another distinction between when it reaches the end of its second year of life and enters its third year of life. Tamor ol ayel echad. No, there's no differentiation. Any ayel is the same thing, and it could be learned from the word o, could be learned from the word echad, could be learned from the whole superfluous language of Ol Ayel Echad, which is unnecessary. Right? But we learn out from this pasuk that it doesn't matter what ayil is, just like we said yesterday by the Lashor Ha'echad, right? So it sounds like since there it says there it was worked without the word O. Here too, the focus is not on the word O, just on the entire being. It's being superfluous in and of itself. Okay, the whole pasuk is not necessary, except it teaches the non-differentiation. Undifferentiation is already made in the previous pasukim. The Takachadin says it's either from the word echad, in other words, there's no differentiation, or from the entire, the entire pasuk is superfluous, like we just said. Okay, the next part of the pasuk, last part, sebak vasim lo manemar. Why is sebak vasim shebedin? Largely dictate mitzvah shochalei ben niskei keves niskei ayil. So the distinction between the sachim of the sheep within its first year of life and within its male sheep. It's in the first year of life and its second year of life. That's why the male sheep, let's say it's saying the similar distinction by the female sheep between a kisva, which is within its first year of life, and a rechel, which is within its second year of life. No, doesn't say the sebak vasim, and here it doesn't even say the word echad. So I assume we're learning just again. It seems that we're learning just from the Torah Dekra itself, the entire superfluous nature of the pasuk. But here, Tanakh writes that it's possible to learn from the word "o," since it says, even though it didn't say "bashar o," so it says "no," because you hear "o" is "bakvasim." Okay, so again, it's not clear what exactly the specific derivation is. Oh, Beizim Lama Nemar. So, okay, here we have the word O as well. Shebedin, the logic could dictate, differentiate by male sheep between keves and ayil. Let's differentiate by goats between a gedi, which is within its first year of life, and a taish, which is an older goat. Tamlomar, O Beizim. The linkage is made from between the young among the goats to the old among the goats. It just the like this one is Revi Sahin, which is the 3 lukin. So this one's Revi Sahin, which is 3 lukin. Okay, now we go up to the next part of the Mishnah, which talks about the Ramoim. It says the date was written on the chosam, so they wouldn't come in a different day and try and if they had found somebody else's chosam or somewhere else got a hold of a different chosam, they used them. They went to profit or save money. So the Gemara. It was something that's just said the day of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So the Gemara asks, "Hagatz was shazig osayom." That's what was supposed to be matched up. Zivuk, right? He made a match. Same day, he'll bring it next Monday or next Tuesday, whatever it says. Well, how does it help the fact he wrote the date of the week on it? Shem Mishmar Kosubalov. It said which Mishmar. And the Mishmar is where every 24 weeks you have to wait 24 weeks for your Mishmar to come again. Right? So it wouldn't work. You'd have to keep it for 24 weeks in order for it to work again if it said the name of the Mishmar, since there are 24 Mishmaros. Hagatz, which there goes to Mishmar. Okay, well, maybe it's wait 24 weeks, and then bring it 24 weeks later when that Mishmar on that date. So he says, no, there were other safeguards we needed. Shem Hayom, it said not just the day, but which of the week, but also Shem Shabbos. It said which week of the month it was. The Carmela says Shema Shabbos, Kama Shabbos B'Chodesh, which we and Shema Chodesh Kosolem, and also it said which month it was. So I feel Zayik, even if there was no chance that somehow at some future date they'll come out in the same day of the week will come out in the same week, the number week of the month, in the same month, and the same Mishmar. It's unlikely. It's highly unlikely. I feel Zayik, even to try to match up, ain't no Matsu Zayik. It's possible, but since it's not very remote, because to which we have to converge all three the cycles: the day of the week, the name of the mishmar, 4 cycles. No, 3 cycles. The day of the week. No, 4 cycles. The day of the week, the week of the month, and the name of the mishmar. That is highly remote, and at that point, we're not concerned anymore. It's interesting that they didn't use a year. Obviously, we never find, or very, very rarely find years mentioned in Shas, Bavli, Yerushalmi. And when they do use years, it usually was minyan shtaros, not that's when we count Librias Olam, in our stars, we say Laminyan should, we always say, but Laminyan Shana Monim Kan, right? Because it's our way of counting is Librias Olam, but they didn't use, for whatever reason, they seem not to have used it back then. Okay. Says the Mishnah, Lochas Dalit. Shtei L'shokos hayu b'mikdash. There were 2 L'shokos in the Mikdash. Obviously, the more than that, but we're discussing the following too. Chas lishkas rashoin was the lishka of secret, and this is for matan b'seiser, for people for tzedakah, not for needs of Beis Hamikdash. Achas lishkas hakelim, and what was lishka of the kelim, of the vessels? Lishkas rashoim yirei chet, no simasol b'chashai. People are afraid of sin. As I say, usage yirei chet here. Obviously, they're afraid of not of sinning per se, but of messing up, doing something not according to its utmost heater. Then they wanted to give their stock of b'seiser. So, no seem to tell b'chashai. They put the money there in secret so people wouldn't see them. V'aniyim neitovim nisparim seem to tell b'chashai, and aniyim who were of noble birth, neitovim, they were from good families, and they didn't want to go around panhandling, I guess. They would come and they would take their parnasav there in secret as well. Lishkas hakelim, well, commission misali keli, anybody who volunteered a keli to Beis Hamikdash, zarko tocha, he would put it into that lishka. Bachas l'shloshim, and once every 3 days, hagizbanim poschim, was why the treasurers would open this lishka, this office. Kli shemotzi b'otzar bedek habayis mnichim, so clay which was found appropriate for use in the Beis Hamikdash, they would leave in the Beis Hamikdash. Vashar and the rest, they would be sold. The main nofli and lishkas bedek habayis and use the money for the purpose of the lishka of the bedek habayis, meaning for any, not after the lishka, but for any purpose of for the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, it's Yaakov bar Ide. This Gemara about to see, most of it is brought down, and we saw way back when, beginning of the Yerushalmi Mesachos Peah. The Moshe says to look there, and says that Sham Pirashti. So we don't say Moshe on the following Gemara because he already explained it there. Yaakov Erev Rabbi Yitzchak bar Nachman have a parnasim. They were parnasim. They were kaboit tzedakah. And Rabbi Yoav and Rabbi Chama avoid Rabbi Yosha dinar, and they used to give. They themselves didn't want to know to whom they gave it. So they gave to Rabbi Chama, the father of Rabbi Yosha, dinner. They gave him money that he should go and give it. So as we know, the highest madriga is that the giver doesn't know to whom he's giving, and the recipient doesn't know from whom he's receiving. So he would give to the others. So they would. He would. As the Korbei says, they didn't want to receive from the Gabbai tzedakah, so he would give it out, I guess, in a in an appropriate and private way. Rabbi Schar Chazan and Rabbi Levi have a kol yakum elizim alav. Rabbi Schar, the son-in-law of Rabbi Levi, everybody would say negative things about him. I mean, the Lord tzarich v'nasa, they say he didn't need money and he took money from the tzedakah. I mean, the Damach, when he died, Batkun, they checked, and they found that he would distribute it to others. So the offer Yerushalmi says, so we said, after the previous Mishnah, he said, he's in the king Yerushalmi saw. What happened to that? So he says, the obvious answer is that, yeah, but when you're in tzedakah, they're doing it in private, and outweighs your own, whatever people might happen to say about you. Clearly, the people in the know knew that Rabbi Schar was doing this honestly and authentically, and he was not taking for himself. Reichina bar Papa have a mafli mitzvah b'lelia. He would give out tzedakah at night. So again, people would not see where he was giving, whom he was giving. People wouldn't see him. And Chadzman, Pagabe Rabban Duruchaya. Shainim are rarely mentioned in the Yerushalmi, but one time the head shade met him. Amalei, they said, Loken Alpha and Rebbe, did you not to teach us, Rebbe? No, it's giving him a covenant. I don't know if he actually had interaction with the Shainim, taught them Torah, or is just saying it, in a lashon of respect. Don't come, and obviously it's a pasuk, so I don't know if the Shade needed him to teach him, but they was just giving him respect. I wonder if the article says anything about it. Yeah, he says lashon mechubenes v'dir achina baba Shainim Yisrael Hogan, right? So it's a respectful way of saying it. So lochen alvan. Here. The Rashi doesn't have Alpha Rebbe, says just the Ksiv. Okay, so don't come into the boundary of your friend, and there it's going about, of course, moving the fence in your yard. But here, nighttime is for Shadim, not for you. You should be home. Amalei, so he said, so he responded, it's not say that giving money in secret overwhelms it overwhelms any anger and subjugates any anger. So since the Pasha says that af means any danger, but the article brings down from the Eitz Yosef that he says there is a type of shade which is called a af. So and you're one of them, and by giving tzedakah protects you from you. But and the Rabbah, the Ruchaya, was afraid of him, and Arak Min Kamoy, and he fled from before him. Amar Rabbi said, "Ashe no sein ledal engsuka." So it doesn't say praise to somebody who gives money to a poor person. Ela maskil el dal, somebody who's intelligent towards a poor person. Zeshi mistaka mitzvah eicha. So there's somebody who looks at the mitzvah how to do it in the best possible way, and in order to make sure that the person would take and not be embarrassed, but in the taking. As now we give an example. Ketzer Rabbi Yonah. So what did Rabbi Yonah do? Ben Tovim, we saw a ani who came from a good family and would be embarrassed to take the money. Sher Mechasav, who lost his property and now was impoverished. Hayom Elo, it said, Beni, my son, here's some money. Heard that you got an inheritance which is coming to you from elsewhere, and told take this money for now as a loan, and you'll pay back. Once the person took it, I have Amalei Matani said it's really a gift. So even though there's a little bit of a Geneva Stas involved, but this is kind of like a Be'er Lishma. You have to do this sometimes in order to make sure to do it in the best possible way. So sometimes you have to be maskil, do intelligent. Even the idea of Geneva Stas, every midah Kodesh Baruch Hu gave in the world has some positive application. Even Geneva Stas. Sometimes you have to do it in order to make sure to get the mitzvah done. We are actually doing this for the first cycle. We're doing this is in Shemini Seres Metshuva on Ches Tishrei. So this is very relevant. By the time it actually comes to have Yom, a few days ahead, it's going to be afterwards, but it's still Tishrei. There are elders in our days. And they were anim, and they told him obviously from us, but not just they were in the sense that they were big bali bitachon. They so there ain't older. There were elders in our days. Man, the Havi Yoivlam bein race shot on some rabba. People getting money b'Chum Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the great fast. Have a nasmin they would take. Mean b'sakin love a nasmin. Afterwards, he wouldn't take. Armin said, "Dashton Gabon, we have our gift is by us. The Ashton is whatever was decreed upon us for this year. The Girsa here is in the Chadatin is the Shata. This year. I think Dashton itself is a language of a gift, but the Shata it sounds like a good Girsa. The Dashton is the language like Deshen, our fattiness, our goodness. But anyway, I like the Girsa of the Shata. If you look at the article on Mem Amud Beis 2, it reads that including Girsos, Birim, other ways, other Girsos. The Shaton and Rash Vasa and the Shusa. Okay, but you get the idea. Nechemia is sich in Pogba Yerushalmi Echad. Nechemia used to dig the wells for the Ole Regalim. So certainly Yerushalmi met up with him, and he said. It says Zakemi Chadam Taigot. The Russian used for giving tzedakah was be zeicha to do the mitzvah tzedakah with me. Give me a chicken. Amalei Hatim Se Kupad. He said here's a the way the gear says in the carbon 8 is Amalei Halach Timasav Zil Zavin Kupad. Here's a coin and go buy for yourself meat. And meat was better, was perhaps better than chicken. There was independence in the hinterlands. I think actually chicken was more expensive than meat, but I think perhaps here in Yerushalayim it was more expensive. I'm not sure, but in any event, he said he went and bought meat. He went and bought the meat, and he ate it. He died. Vavatzavach and Nechemia was had some full remorse, and he cried out, "V'amar bo v'stiftu l'Agush and Nechemia, come mourn to eulogize the person killed by Nechemia." That evidently, by persuading him to get meat was his downfall. I should have told him to just get what he was normally accustomed to, the chicken. He actually brings down in the article from the Talmud Rashbash that the meat in this case was cheaper than chicken, and he was trying to save money, and that's why he killed him. But it could be the other way around. It could be that also that meat was more expensive, and that he was telling him to go get yourself a special portion, and that was his mistake. Go either way. The Reb Chaim does learn like the Talmud Rashbash. He says, to eat something cheaper. Okay, so I would have to look and pay it to see what the other Meforshim say there, but I think there's some people went the other way around, like I said. Now the story Nachum Ish Gamzu. And here in the Yerushalmi, it's spelled Nachum Ish Gamzu. We all knew about the Gamzu Tova. The article, for some reason, decides here to have a long discourse about this. He says that his name was actually Nachum Ish Gimzu. He came from the town of Gimzu. That's called Ish Gimzu, and therefore, the Maharsha evidently asks that. So why did the Bavli have to give a story why it's called Nachum Ish Gamzu? Because Gamzu Tova could just call him Gimzu. It was because it was the town of Gimzu. But obviously from the Yerushalmi here, it seems that it was Ish Gamzu and not Ish Gimzu. But he gives gives three reasons why this is an issue. But okay, it's interesting that that I don't think I've ever seen before that question. The Maharsha's question that the Pashim Shah said it was from the town of Gimzu. Okay, it's a famous story. It's brought down in a different version in the Bavli and Tanya Staff Chav Aleph, and in the Shunas Chos, if you have the the article he brings down the entire story from Tanya Stav Chafal, but here we'll see the Yerushalmi's version. Gamzu was bringing a gift to his father-in-law's house. So a person who was afflicted with skin disease, met him. In other words, give me tzedakah. What do you have? He said, let me come back. He said, right now I'm in a rush. I'll come back and I'll give you to eat. So the Talmud says, you could tell that he was very weak and very sick and very weak. But he said, he didn't say as if it's urgent. Just give me tzedakah. He didn't make a very exaggerated and strident request. He didn't say, I'm in the danger of death, like in the story of Binyamin Tzaddik. In which case, Nachum would certainly have given immediately. I'll give him way back. Because the honor of his father-in-law, he was pressing in a hurry forward. So that's it tells he was going to his father-in-law's house. So it's a nice, very nice shot there in the Taklin Chadatin. So he came back and found him dead. And he said opposite him, the stood opposite him, and he said, my eyes, the chaminach that I saw you alive and loch, and I didn't give to you, Yistamion should be blinded. Yadaya, my hands, lo pashtim mitan loch, did not extend to give it to you, Yiskatan should be cut off. Raglaya, my legs, the low ratan mitan loch, which did not run to give it to you, Yistabran should be broken. Umatzekin, and all these things happened to him. Sadik Abai Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva came to visit him after this happened. Rabbi Akiva, of course, is the Talmud of Nachum Ishkamzu. He said, Oili Shani Royalska Bakach came. Woe to me that I see you this way. Said, Oili Shani Royalska Bakach came. Woe to me, I don't see you this way. He said, Ma, you cursing me? Why do you kick at Isur, at afflictions? In other words, I needed to have these Isur in order to be mechaper on my averos. Okay, of course, this is only Nachum Ish Gamzu, who could see everything Gamzu Teva was able to see Yisurin in such a fashion, but he saw that these Yisurin were necessary for him. All right, we're on the top of Mem Alpha Rav, so we'll stop here for today.